kind of random.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another edition of That Time in Hip Hop, a podcast about the history, the nostalgia, but more importantly, the preservation of hip hop music and culture. I am your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast. With me, as always, the homie Tony of IntoTheDome.com. What's good, man?
Hey, man, this is water tonight because, listen, I had a few beers earlier and I said, look, you know what? Let me end the night off with some nice H2O, man. So I'm getting hydrated, man. Feeling good, brother. How you doing?
Now, I don't know if this is a black thing, but that is a black glass, man. When you got flowers on your glass, you know you in the black house. You know what I'm saying? That's the good. You like use the good cups. We got company. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But if you are watching this for the very first time, this is what we do here. We talk about what we might be drinking, but beyond that, we are all about the preservation of hip hop music and culture. And that's not only what's your favorite albums, what's your favorite artists. We deep dive into albums, artists, music moguls. Like, for example, Tone, we shared this earlier this week. Master P did an excellent interview on Drink Champs.
Yeah.
A lot of jewels, man. And after the interview was over, I'm like, you know what? Me and Tone already gave y'all the 411 on Master P a couple of months ago. So check that episode out. Maybe a link will pop up while I'm saying this. But definitely we basically appreciate the music, the culture, you know what I'm saying, while it's around. Because you never know. Hip hop is number one and we take that for granted, but sometimes, we complain about things and then they're gone, you know what I'm saying? So we got to support it while they're here. And that means that's not only music, that's also film, that's hip hop related, obviously, and fashion in some cases. So we talk about it all, man. And right now, we like to do a little thing called This Week in Hip Hop. And This Week in Hip Hop, the debut album from Black Sheep, dropped October 22nd, 1991. Tone, A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. The first time you heard Black Sheep, what was your thoughts about them as a group, Drez as a rapper or MC, and the album as a whole?
Well, it was, Rap City was a big deal back then. So I heard them because I saw Flavor of the Month video. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow, the beat is dope. I like the MC who is, Drez, what have you. And I mean, I thought it was a dope song, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it bangs, you know what I'm saying? I like the sample and everything. So when I finally heard Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, I was like, yo, this is a dope album, man. You know what I'm saying? And of course, The Choice Is Yours is a hip hop classic. So, whenever you can be fortunate enough as an MC or a group to drop a certified hip hop classic on your debut, you've done something special. And Black Sheep was able to fulfill that, you know what I'm saying, as far as The Choice Is Yours. Favorite of the Month was cool. Strobe Light Hunter was cool. A couple other tracks on the album were cool. But you got The Choice Is Yours. So any city in America that has a hip hop club that does any kind of old school set, you're going to hear, can you get with this? Or can you get with that? It's legendary hip hop. It's one of the most known sayings in hip hop, and Black Sheep can say, look, we have a staple situation in the culture, man, and it is, and what can you say about it, man? It was a solid album. You know what I'm saying? It served its purpose. It got Black Sheep out there. They got a classic single, Forever in Hip Hop. We got two other, nice singles. And, I thought the production was good. I thought it came out at a time where the native tongues were very strong in 1991 with, of course, Jungle Brothers, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, even with the affiliates such as Queen Latifah and Moni Love and, and stuff like that, and Black Sheep and Chi Ali and everyone. So they came at a dope time, man. And yeah, man, it was a dope album, dude. Like, what was your thoughts, Veg, when you first heard, I think Flavor of the Month was the first single, then going into the album, what was your thoughts about Black Sheep and Drez? I thought Drez was a dope MC. I thought he had the look, the flavor, you know what I'm saying, for the time. And yeah, man, shout out, man. I thought it was dope. What about you?
Yeah, I first heard Flavor of the Month, and I was so on it. Like I kind of dug it because I dug the beat. But back in that time, there was so many hip hop artists that were somewhat similar. You know what I'm saying in their
Yep.
approach and music. And I guess like I was trying to look for that thing that separated them. And like you said, man, when The Choice Is Yours came out, I was like, that's it. Because
Yep.
when you listen
Yep.
to Flavor in the Month, you thinking Drez is more of a smooth B type rapper, you know what I'm saying? Maybe the
Yeah.
smooth side of Kane, you know what I'm saying? And then you hear The Choice Is Yours, and he's really aggressive. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't the one that we know actually like a remix? And did the original version is on the album? Because I could have sworn like on the album there's a different beat, but the one that everybody knows is like The Choice Is Yours Revisited or something like that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think that now it's been so many years. I believe the video version production is slightly different than the actual album's version.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Now,
yeah.
personally, I recall enjoying the video version better.
Yeah.
Now, I think they also had a single CD that came out with The Choice Is Yours and Flavor of the Month, and it had the video version on it. But I
Mm.
think the album might have had that alternative version. Don't quote me, people. Check it out and correct us if we're wrong in the comment section on YouTube, what have you. But I believe that was the case, babe.
Yeah, I think so too, because I think the first time I heard the album, and I love Strobe like, and I think when it got to The Choice Is Yours, something was different about it. But obviously, so many years have passed. Now you probably get that version, the video version on there. And for those who still don't know, because we're saying The Choice Is Yours, you know what I'm saying? The biggest part, maybe not the best part. Yeah, maybe it is the best part. But the biggest part of that record is the bridge. Engine number 9. Or like, you know what I'm saying? And people used to actually jump back then when
Really did in the club too.
we would like you be in the club, everybody get low, engine number 9. And then soon as pick it up, everybody's jumping like crazy. Fun times,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? A dope record. Like you said, man, like Native Tongues was strong in 91, man. Like it was really strong as a collective. Everybody was hitting on every cylinder. Like think of them in the same way you think of when Rockefeller was hot, when G Unit was hot, when TDE is hot. You know what I'm saying? When Young Money was hot, like they were Native Tongue as this collective of MCs. Like they had hits and they had dope albums out all around the same time, and adding Black Sheep to that was dope. And then plus they was also affiliated with Flavor Unit, which was also another team of dope MCs. So yeah, man, A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, one of those albums that kind of people forget about.
Yeah.
People forget about Drez, but nobody forgets about The Choice Is Yours. Like you didn't even have to be around during that time. I'm pretty sure you've heard it if you've heard an old school mix of hip hop, because it's just one of them records, man. It's timeless. So
And
salute to those brothers. Yeah, go ahead.
And let me say this real quick. In Black Sheep defense, and I think you kind of hit on it real quick, it's a dope album, but unfortunately and fortunately, it came out during a time where the Low End Theory came out. I think the Death Certificate came out. It was a year before the Chronic. It was like a year after the Chronic. Also, I mean, so you're talking about a moment in time with Brand Nubians, all these groups were coming out, Daz Effects and whatever. So, not that they were overlooked, because they were not overlooked, but they came at a time when it was so rich in so many albums being released, man. So, but shout out to Black Sheep, man. And real quick, also, when I was in school in the 90s at UNCG and A&T, I saw Drez all the time. He moved to North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? So he was living in Charlotte and going back and forth between Charlotte and Greensboro. And we saw him all the time. We used to run into him at record stores and kick it and talking to him. And very cool, humble brother, you know what I'm saying? And very appreciative of the props we gave him, man. And I just wanted to say that, man. I really like Drez, man. Drez a cool dude, man. And yeah, man, shout out to them, man. For real, for real.
Yeah, and just to piggyback real quick of what you said, man, like when you think about those albums you named during that time, but at the same time going up against so many titans like Death Certificate and Low End Theory, albums that people still cherish to this day, it was easy for it to be, you know, lost in the shuffle even back then. And back then, hip hop fans' listening habits were way different. Like a Low End Theory comes out, we rocking with that for a minute. We talking months. You know what I'm saying? A Death Certificate,
Yeah.
same thing. Like we not really like listening to it for a week and like what else is there. We are sitting with these albums. And it was one of the reasons why I didn't have Black Sheep's debut album. Because everybody already know I was playing Death Certificate. I continue to play it throughout the years. Same thing with Low End Theory. So, and you know, I wasn't rich. I was a kid. So, you know, you get what you can get. But definitely salute to those brothers, man. A dope album. Definitely worth going back, checking out is Black Sheep's Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Now, though, we get into the part of the show where we talk about, you know, something major, the theme. And if you've been paying attention to this lovely wallpaper in the background and you don't know who that man is, we about to put you on. So, Tone, tell the people what we're here to talk about.
Oh, man, I've been waiting for this, babe, because this week we're talking about that time in hip-hop when we thought Tracy Lynn Curry was going to take over the game. And Tracy Lynn Curry, for those who don't know, is none than the legendary D.O.C, the Doc, from Texas, Dallas, Texas, who became a West Coast legend, who became a California legend. Yeah. But he was from Dallas, Texas, man. He started out with a crew called the Feli Crew, if I'm not mistaken. And Feli Fresh Crew. You know what I'm saying? In Texas, man. And then he ended up migrating to California and linking up with Eazy-E and NWA, and it kind of took a life upon itself, man. But, you know, thinking back on the D.O.C, and I'll say this real quick. A few months ago, I was on Instagram, and Nelly, the rapper Nelly, did a what if. And his what if was, what if the D.O.C didn't get into a car accident? You know what I'm saying? The biggest what if in hip hop. And when I watched his video, I said, damn, you know what? I always thought that way. What if everything, the stars would have lined up for the D.O.C, how hip hop would have been, how West Coast hip hop would have been, what would NWA had a longer run, how would Death Row would have ended up. Like, there's so many things we're going to talk about today, because I think a lot of fans don't truly understand the magnitude of the Doc. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand the tree of the D.O.C and what happened as a result of his talent, and what could have happened if things wouldn't have happened the way it did, in terms of him being in a car accident and actually almost destroying his larynx and losing his voice. And we'll get into all of that. But let me say this, vague. Around 1988, when the Feli Fresh Crew really didn't pop off the way the Doc and his guys thought it would when he went to LA, during that time, LA was known for Ice-T, 6 in the Morning, and some of his joints, and of course Too Short in Oakland. So no disrespect to Ice-T and Too Short, they were dope MCs, but they weren't lyricists. But they made dope songs, though. Not lyricists in the sense that we think on the East Coast, but they were lyrical in their own right. Let me preface that. So, in our minds, lyrics was, okay, 1988, 1989, we're thinking of LL Cool J's Run. We're thinking, and it's a year before Mama Said Knock You Out. We're thinking about KRS-One and BDP. Of course, we're thinking about Rakim. We're thinking about Slick Rick, Cool G Rap, Big Daddy Kane. So, when this Funky Enough came out, we were like, wait a minute now. Okay. Who is this D.O.C? Now, we had heard about Easy Does It and the NWA crew before. No One Can Do It Better, the debut by the D.O.C. But when this Funky Enough came out, it was like, okay, now this is something different than what I heard on Easy Does It. Now, we know they had different writers on Easy Does It, but Easy E was the primary MC on his solo album. There was no Straight Outta Compton yet. So I'm like, okay, so once Straight Outta Compton came out, of course, they blew up, they did their thing. We thought they could rap, but when we heard the D.O.C. like a year or so later, primarily on his solo album, it was like, okay, is this the West Coast version of Rakim, the West Coast version of the lyrical MC? Because for me, D.O.C. is the first lyrical MC on the West Coast. He's like the godfather of that, taking it to another level, and kind of like the godfather of your Kendricks and Razzcast and Hieroglyphics. Before all of those guys, you had the D.O.C., man, and it started with Funky Enough. When I first saw that video, I'm like, damn, this guy got everything. He got the look, the voice, the energy. He went NWA, and NWA popping with Straight Outta Compton right now. He might be able to rap better than all of those guys already. You know what I'm saying? And it was just one of them things, babe, where I was like, damn, something special is brewing, man. So during that time, when the doc started coming to prominence, what was your thoughts?
Like when I first heard Funky Enough, like back then, I assumed unless you had a Jerry curl, I assumed every rapper was from New York for the most part, because a lot of them dudes you named were based in New York. Like I remember where I didn't even know the first Prince was from Philly for a while. Now, granted, to those out there in the internet world, let me tell you something about time travel. I was 11 years old. Hip hop was not that deep. You know, obviously, if you're old enough and you're in the club, you know a little bit more about these rappers and whatever. But I just remember just being captivated by the beat, because the beat is just sick. You know what I'm saying? And then energy, like you said, and instantly thought he was from the West Coast, because I mean he's with Dr. Dre. You know what I'm saying? He's with NWA. And I think you touched on something that was perfect. When you listen to NWA on Straight Outta Compton, all of them, Ice Cube, Ren, Eazy-E get the pass because it's not really what he does, and even Dre, he's not really a rapper. D.O.C. had a maturity that Ice Cube didn't have yet, in his delivery. You know what I'm saying? Like, something about the way D.O.C. rapped told you he been rapping for a long time. He been making songs. He been doing this. Whereas with Ice Cube, it was almost as if there's confident, but I'm still a little wet behind the ears. And same thing with Ren. And we're just talking about really delivery. But D.O.C. was just another level. And back then, I didn't even know he was from Texas. You know what I'm saying? I just assumed he's from the West Coast. He's dressed like them. He's, you know what I'm saying, Dr. Dre's doing his beats. And I was just impressed by him. And I, at the time, LL Cool J vibe, only because of how he delivered his rhymes. But if you go back now, especially, and you think about the time being 88, the lyrical content that D.O.C. is spitting is a little bit ahead of its time. And I don't think he gets a lot of credit for that. You know what I'm saying? He's like really refined in hip hop as an MC at a time where not many people, like you said, like a Rakim. Like Rakim felt like a dude who'd been doing this for years, but better than that were more successful than him. So yeah, man, my first impression of D.O.C. was just how dope he was. Now, when you heard the album came out, and you get to absorb all the records now, Dr. Dre on the boards. What was your thoughts, man, when you heard that album?
Bro, listen. I remember getting a tape, and halfway through it, honestly, I was like, man, the D.O.C. one of the best rappers alive right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talking about 1989. It's a year after. It's a year or so after Straight Outta Compton. I'm like, he the best rapper on the West Coast, first of all, bar none. So as much as y'all love Ice Cube and MC Ren, the D.O.C. was better than both of them. And the reason why I say it is because the D.O.C. was more dynamic than both of them. MC Ren was a dope MC. Ice Cube was a dope writer. He had a dope style. but the D.O.C. had the full package. You know what I'm saying? Like the D.O.C. had everything. It's like when you first saw Method Man video with the Wu-Tang, be like, that's the standout guy. He had the look, chicks like voice, he had everything. Well, the D.O.C. had everything. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever other West Coast guys didn't have, D.O.C. he was Voltron, man. You know what I'm saying? So when No One Can Do It Better came out, Dr. Dre, as a producer, had also elevated his skills because No One Can Do It Better production was more crisp than Easy Does It and then Straight Outta Compton. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can debate the songs better, but the production was elevated on No One Can Do It Better. I mean, hell, he was almost primo. He was scratching on the songs, and some of that was yellow, some of it was great. The samples and everything, the bass. I mean, it was kind of like a damn boom bap album on some tracks, and some tracks had some rock and roll feel with it. I mean, he had a mixture of early to mid to late 80s sound on one album. And the D.O.C. was able to flow on every song. He was versatile on every song. He was a true artist, like you said, Vega. It sounded like he had been rapping for 5-10 years already. You know what I'm saying? So at that moment in time, I honestly thought the D.O.C. in 1989, when No One Can Do It Better came out, I thought he was the best rapper on the West Coast, and I thought he was giving the guys on the East Coast a run. I thought he was giving KRS, Rakim, all of them a run for their money. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was that good, people. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, a year after his debut, Ice Cube drops America's Most Wanted in 1990, The Death Certificate in 91, yada, yada. And Ice Cube becomes the face of West Coast hip-hop as a solo artist because the D.O.C. was in that car accident about 4 or 5 months after his legendary debut album dropped. He was because he was done until 1996 when he did a joint called Helter Skelter, but we'll get into that later. He was done for years because his larynx was destroyed. He couldn't talk for over a month or two. You know what I'm saying? So when he ended up joining and helping start Death Row with Suge Knight and Dr. Dre, you know, he wasn't talking a lot, but he was writing for Dr. Dre still. He was also mentoring Snoop, and we'll get into all of this other stuff in a minute. But he had to do stuff behind the scenes for about 7-8 years because he really couldn't talk.
Yeah, and when you think about that, right? You think about all these accolades we're putting on this brother for his style, for his skill, and for his debut album. And you know, like we know, you have a car accident like that, and you can't even speak for months, and it's only been what 4 to 6 months after your album drop. That means you can't do shows. You can't do promo. You can't do nothing. Your album is just there. You know what I'm saying? The videos you did out there, but that's all you have.
That's
and
it.
You know, you don't even know if you're going to be able to speak again. So that's what makes it really intriguing. Like you said, when somebody like Nelly says, what if D.O.C. didn't get in that car accident?
Yeah.
Look at what we just said about him as an MC in relation to the entire NWA, into the West Coast, into the relation of all those East Coast rappers. You know what I'm saying? And not being able to capitalize off of that because of a car accident and an injury, you know, was kind of devastating. I think for me personally, it's one of the reasons why I came to the album a little bit later. You know what I'm saying? Maybe after he had the car accident, because you know, typically you're gonna, if something's hot, you're gonna get a ton of singles and you're gonna see them more, and the exposure gets ramped up. And I think it started to slip into the back of my mind because all I knew was the things I had heard, and the album was out, but there wasn't no real push, no real promo. And again, if I'm on the East Coast, where, you know, obviously there's a ton of East Coast rappers, so they're going to get the most exposure, but we are seeing D.O.C. If he can't promo it, if he can't come to the East Coast and do a show and wind up on a program like Video Music Box, which was popular back in the days for, you know, underground hip hop, then it's almost like he slips out of your memory. You know what I'm saying? Even though, like Tone said, he is a hip hop classic and he had all the momentum in the world. Now, Tone, like you said, he had to start ghostwriting and things of that nature. And I don't know. Well, actually, let's stick with the timeline and then talk about, what could have been, or what if. We can save the what if for the end. But
Yeah.
he's ghostwriting and he's writing hits at that. That's another thing that people aren't realizing. He had a car accident, but his pen game was crazy. So talk a little bit more about like what he was able to do, since he wasn't able to perform the type of the ghostwriting, the songs he did for Dre and Death Row as a whole.
Well, I mean, again, coming off "No One Can Do It Better," you got those classic songs, "The Formula" and "The Doctor and the Doctor," and "It's Funky Enough" and "No One Can Do It Better," the title track and all. So he does all this great stuff, and then he gets in an accident. They start Death Row, and what does he do? Well, he writes nothing but a G thing for Dr. Dre. He's the one writing a lot of Dr. Dre's lyrics for nothing but a G thing. He writes Dr. Dre's part on "Little Ghetto Boy." You know what I'm saying? Which is my favorite song. Which is my favorite song on the Chronic album. He writes "A Nigga with a Gun." He does the $20,000 pyramid, and he does lyrical gangbang and all this stuff. He's writing for Dre on the Chronic. He's also teaching Snoop how to be a total MC, a total artist. Because if you know the story of Snoop Dogg, when Warren G and everyone introduced Snoop to Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg just knew how to rap. He didn't know how to write songs.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to write bars. He just rap. He freestyled a lot. He just put a bunch of words together. The D.O.C. basically taught Snoop Dogg how to rap. Now, there's interviews you can look up on YouTube for any listeners. Snoop Dogg has already said on more than one occasion that the D.O.C. was his mentor, and the D.O.C. actually taught him how to write songs. So now think about that. The legendary Snoop Dogg. Let's say there's no D.O.C. in the mix. Maybe there's no Doggy Style the way it is. Maybe there's no Deep Cover the way it is. Maybe there's no G thing and Snoop Dogg being the star on the Chronic. Maybe it's not like that if the D.O.C. doesn't basically teach him how to write songs. Now, if that doesn't happen, the Chronic doesn't have the impact that it has, because Snoop Dogg is the star MC on the Chronic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now let's put in perspective. Without the D.O.C., maybe the Chronic is not the Chronic. So West Coast hip hop is different, and hip hop is different, and that has a whole tree of another ripple effect right there. So let's just make sure we understand what the D.O.C. meant to Death Row, to Dr. Dre, and to Snoop Dogg. You know what I'm saying?
And it's like it's like he polished it. You know what I'm saying? Like he, they obviously saw that Snoop was dope, but someone like the D.O.C. sees, but he's not an artist. He's a dope rapper, maybe a dope MC, but he's not an artist. And somebody like him knows how to, write verses, and more importantly, more than anything, knows how to teach someone. Because you can have all the knowledge of the world, but you're a terrible teacher. You know what I'm saying? And you could tell that this was a dude who understood songwriting as it relates to hip hop. And one thing I wanted to mention, because I didn't know, again, D.O.C. gets in a car accident, his album starts to get older. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Dre is with Death Row now. I'm listening to The Pyramid. I don't know that's the D.O.C. with that raspy voice on there. Like, people really didn't know at first.
No.
And then eventually it came out and people was like, that's the D.O.C. And it's like, I think my first thought was, oh, well, he could speak now. You know what I'm saying? Because before I thought he couldn't speak at all. But then the more you listen to it, you like, man, his voice is really so totally different from what it was. And it stood out. But I mean, you make a great point, because again, when you look at the Chronic, is not just the beats and who performed on it or the party atmosphere that they enjoyed. You also got a master at making songs and knowing what works and what sounds good. And just to add to, a thread of the D.O.C. and Dr. Dre's collaboration, Dr. Dre, every time he did an album, always calls the D.O.C.
Yeah.
All the way up until the Compton album.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, for any listeners who don't really understand this magnitude, the D.O.C. is basically the mentorship behind the Chronic, behind Doggy
Yeah,
Style. So that is death row. If the Chronic and the Doggy Style don't pop off, there is no death row.
yeah,
So there is no Dog Pound album, a Below the Rim soundtrack, Tupac coming to death row. None of that happens. Now, on the side note, maybe Tupac not coming to death row saves his life, but that's for another whole
yeah,
podcast day. You know what I'm saying? But without the Chronic and the Doggy Style popping off, so if the Chronic flop, there might not be a Doggy Style. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So we're talking about a whole change in West Coast because during the Chronic and Doggy Style, West Coast hip hop took over. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
so it took Puff and Bad Boy and Ready to Die and 36 Chambers and Tribe and you know Nas, man. It took all of this stuff. Black Moon Interstate. It took all of this stuff to even come back with 2 albums from the West Coast and then a group album and eventually a movie soundtrack. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
all of those are the children of the Chronic. And you know, that's what D.O.C. did. But even before the Chronic, you know, the D.O.C. helped write on Eazy's debut album. So I mean,
yeah.
yeah, writing and making a change in West Coast hip hop for years, man. I mean, that's just kind of what it was, man.
Yeah, like when you think about what you just said, like you can go down the line. A lot of people look at West Coast hip hop and they just like when they think about legends, they go straight to NWA and anything tied to it because Ice Cube's there, Dr. Dre's there, Eazy's there, and they look at that as the height of West Coast hip hop. Obviously, Death Row took it into another direction, but the D.O.C. is, you know what the D.O.C. is like? And I might have said this about somebody else, but this is perfect for the D.O.C. after the accident. He's like Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney has his hands on some of the greatest sketch comedy of all time. In Living Color, Chappelle's Show, working with Richard Pryor, the Richard Pryor Show. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Paul Mooney is like that dude where, you know, for whatever reason, he didn't blow as big as, you know, his counterparts, but he's been a part of some of the greatest black comedy of all time. And it's the same thing when you talk about D.O.C. He's writing hits for Eazy-E, who had his own level of success as a soloist. He's helping write for NWA. He's helping write for the Chronic. He's helping to mentor. Like he has his fingerprints on it in the same way that Dr. Dre does, production-wise. And that says a lot about his talent. You know what I'm saying? Because again, if you don't know and you're young or whatever, you want an idea of before the car accident versus after the car accident, you know what I'm saying? Like directly after, you can listen to, you know, No One Can Do It Better. And then you can go and listen to that skit on the Chronic. And this is what we were dealing with. Like that's the D.O.C. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But again, behind the scenes, the man was working, man. So let's talk about a couple of things. Like obviously, ghostwriting throughout time. Touch on this, but it kind of brought the D.O.C.'s name back up into the spotlight a little bit, and it's all related to hip hop. But I always thought it was interesting how, and I heard the story, so I kind of get it now. But I guess back then when it happened, it was almost mind-boggling to me. The D.O.C. was a ladies' man. You know what I'm saying? Before the car accident, but apparently also after the car accident. If you don't know, there was a time where Common was messing with Erykah Badu, and you know, a lot of people say she changed Common for the worse because that's when you got Electric Circus and sweater hats and stuff like that, whatever. But at that same time, Erykah Badu wound up getting pregnant by the D.O.C. Now, you would say to yourself, if you knew, like, he's clearly older than Common, that's one. And then two, how could this dude who barely can speak be able to get in or move in on your territory, you know, as a rapper or whatever, or just as a man, whatever. But it kind of spoke to what you described about D.O.C. kind of being a total package. It's up here, you know what I'm saying? It's clearly in a brother's mind. And I mean, I remember, I think Erykah Badu talked about this because she was talking about, you know, all her baby fathers and everybody being rappers and stuff like that. And I just remember because Erykah Badu is from Texas, she remembered the D.O.C. from back in the day. So to her, this is a dude who she already kind of liked from back in the day. And I just thought it was interesting that that would happen. And I think what it wound up doing, because obviously there's the rumor mill and the controversy of, you know, she's with this guy, but she gets pregnant by this guy. Who cares? She can do what she wants. But I think what really, like, me as a hip hop fan was like, man, what is it? Because he would always like slip out of my consciousness until something would come up and he will remind people like, oh yeah, well, I wrote this and I did this and I'm still out here. I'm still active, you know what I'm saying, as a participant in this music industry. But what did you think when you first heard that? You know, again, the D.O.C. ain't dropping albums. He ain't like in videos with his shirt off. He ain't tempting Erykah Badu from where we could see it. But you seeing this power couple of Common and Erykah Badu, and they make the great hip hop record for that one movie. Was it Brown Sugar?
Brown Sugar.
For Brown Sugar, and the D.O.C. swoops in, basically ghostwrites for Common. I don't know how to phrase. I don't know how to phrase it. Like, was that another? There's another level. He on another level of ghostwriting. Well,
you know what it boils down to, man. You know, Common ended up, unfortunately, and I love Common. He's one of my favorite MCs, et cetera, et cetera. But it turns out to be, you know, Common ended up being a sucker for love. You know what I'm saying? And Erykah Badu was obviously the type of chick that liked to move the way she wanted to move. She liked to date who she wanted to date. She wasn't really a monogamous type of chick. And Common talked about this in his book, One Day It All Makes Sense. Because in that book, he would do a chapter, then his mom would do a chapter. Then he would do one of his mom. So his mom had warned him about Erykah Badu when she met her. She was kind of like, baby, you know, it's not really for you, because she knew Common was trying to be on some serious tip. And she was basically saying, look, this woman is kind of like freely, kind of like to do her own thing, and you're going to get your heart broken. That's kind of what happened, you know. And the D.O.C. is a legend in Texas. He's a legend in the West Coast. And, you know, for all we know, Erykah Badu could have grew up with a picture of posted the D.O.C. on the wall.
She kind of said that. She was into him before the car accident because he was a local hero.
He was a local hero, and D.O.C. was that dude. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it real. So, you know, when I heard about that, it didn't really shock me because I remember the D.O.C. I'm 44. I was a big fan of D.O.C. And like I said, I thought at one point he was going to take over hip hop. That's how good he was. So for anybody listening to understand something, the D.O.C. was on par to take over hip hop. Maybe it wasn't going to be no Ice Cube solo album to that degree because the D.O.C. might have shunned that because D.O.C. was better at one point than Ice Cube. And Ice Cube, universally known as one of the dopest MCs of all time. You know what I'm saying? But the D.O.C. was better than him, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, when I heard this, poor Common, you know, he's going to get his heart broken because, you know, he's just too nice. You know what I'm saying? And the D.O.C. is funky enough, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. He ain't changed. He ain't changed at all because he ain't turning it down. But, you know, for any hip hop fans, that brought you albums like B. So you're welcome. You know, and it kind of rejuvenated, you know, Common, gave him new energy, and he came back with some heat. Now let's get into the fun stuff.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? If D.O.C. doesn't get in a car accident, and not only does he get to fully promote that dope debut album, but he gets to get another one, same voice, no trials and tribulations from having a car accident. Now you can't do what you do. He is in top form, probably not even he probably wasn't even in his peak because that was his debut album. What are some of the things that you think would have changed? And let me just say one that came to mind when you were talking early. And you kind of alluded to it with the Chronic and stuff like that. Snoop would not be as big as he is because Deep Cover would probably be Dre and the D.O.C. Snoop would probably be there, but he kind of became Dr. Dre's counterpart or sidekick or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And like you said, kind of became the Chronic. But if the D.O.C. is still there, I don't think Snoop is as big as he would be because y'all got a monster on your label already, and who knows where his level of success would have went. So what are some of the things you think about if the D.O.C. was healthy? Like, is No Vaseline, does it get a rebuttal that's just as dope, if not better?
Man, you know what? There's so many ways. Oh, this is so intriguing, Vague. There's so many ways to look at what if, because, all right, so Ice Cube leaving NWA, does No Vaseline get that response? Well, he didn't name the D.O.C., so maybe the D.O.C. writes the response, helps write with the response back. I don't know. Maybe the D.O.C. jumped in and goes at Ice Cube, and now we got one of the first major West Coast battle between Ice Cube and the D.O.C. Oh my God. I mean, do you understand that that would have been like the East Coast version of Rakim and KRS-One battling in 1989, 1990 or whatever? So,
yeah.
Oh my God, that would have been something legendary. But again, with the energy of the D.O.C., I believe the D.O.C. defeats Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
D.O.C. energy and vibe is something that is like microphone, it's like controlling the crowd. You know what I'm saying? He was different than what Ice Cube could bring. You know what I'm saying? So you got that situation that might have happened. You have the Chronic now is potentially a Dr. Dre and D.O.C. album. And Snoop Dogg is a guest like Rage, RBX, Daz Corrupt. Yeah. So maybe the D.O.C. becomes the biggest person in rap instead of Snoop, and Snoop becomes Corrupt. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because maybe he end up having a solo album at some point, and maybe still D.O.C. is still grooming him, and maybe he becomes a star. But it wouldn't have happened on the Chronic because the Doc would have been the star MC on the Chronic album for Dr. Dre. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Deep Cover might be Dr. Dre and the Doc. You know what I'm saying? I do believe the Doc would have had another solo album with Dr. Dre production, maybe 1 or 2 tracks by Daz. You got this a couple of guest appearances. You potentially got 2 Five Mic albums back to back by the D.O.C. and a dope Chronic album, with the D.O.C. probably at that time being the biggest rapper in hip hop, because at one point between the Chronic and Doggy Style, Snoop became the biggest actor on the West Coast and potentially the biggest actor in hip hop, and his debut album was the most anticipated at that time debut album in the history of the culture.
Yeah.
So, you know, and everything changes.
Look, think about this. Who's his best friend? Suge Knight. He has his voice. He's probably selling records. He's making dope music. Does Suge Knight even need a Tupac? He's not bailing Tupac out of prison.
And I believe that's the case. I believe that, you know, if the Doc never gets hurt, he's the face of Death Row. He got the whole package. He grooms Snoop Dogg, still be Snoop Dogg. He probably still helps and groom the Dog Pound. Dad's still doing production and rapping with Corrupt. I think that maybe Death Row is doing so well, and D.O.C. is still a mentor behind closed doors. So I believe we would have probably got that later Rage album earlier on point with the D.O.C. helping to mold her. I think you might even got an RBX album. You might even finally got that Danny Boy album with D.O.C. there helping to balance out. It's real talk, helping to balance out Dre and Suge Knight. You need that third party in there around 1996. You don't get late 95, early 96. I don't believe you get Tupac on Death Row. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now that ripple effect means this. and this is just me, no hyperbole for anyone listening. If Tupac doesn't go to death row, I don't believe he's dead. Okay, I honestly believe that.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. And if that happens, if Tupac is not dead, Biggie is not dead.
Biggie's not dead. Yep.
So
and that's the dope. Well, not the dope part because a lot of it's tragic, but it's for us to look at that effect. The D.O.C.'s car accident having such a ripple effect because of his talent that you don't really get the East Coast West Coast beef the way you've known it, now, and unless there's some other situation that brings that about, because the Puffy and Suge Knight thing might have still always existed, but again, like you said, D.O.C. becomes the face of Death Row. And what's another thing that I don't think people think about? Some certain beats are now going to the D.O.C. that maybe Dr. Dre gave to Snoop or gave to others. You know what I'm saying? The D.O.C. is getting famous beats. Like, again, as much as Snoop killed the Deep Cover song, imagine a prime D.O.C. on Deep Cover. Like, with that energy, with that confidence. You know what I'm saying? Snoop brought something to it, obviously. But again, all the things we described about the D.O.C. as an MC and basically putting him above a ton of West Coast hip hop artists. Imagine Dre improving on production like that, attacking these better beats. Like, even to think about it's crazy.
Yeah, because because 1996, a lot of those beats for Dr. Dre and for Dog Pound that Tupac got for All Eyes on Me, that goes to the D.O.C.'s Helter Skelter album that came out in 1996. He didn't have his voice, and Dr. Dre wasn't on there at all. Now, on that D.O.C. album that came out like 2003, he's way past his prime. He don't have his voice. Dre does like 3 songs on there. That album still doesn't really hit. The Helter Skelter 96 don't hit. But in 1996, without Tupac, the D.O.C. gets all those beats, potentially. You know what I'm saying? And again, ironically enough, when you think about the ripple effect of life, if Tupac doesn't come to the death row, he never punches Orlando Anderson, right? Yep. He never gets shot in the drive-by. He's probably on the East Coast label. At some point, he probably makes amends with Biggie because they did like each other a lot and love each other at one point. Big never goes to the West Coast to promote Life After Death because it's not necessary, or he goes to promote one of his sophomore album is, but there's no West Coast friction. He's still alive. He's not caught up in whatever he caught up in. A Bad Boy looks totally different. If Biggie lives, then Jay-Z's career is different because they do the Commission album. You know what I'm saying? Cameron is with Diaz with and all of the Dipset doesn't happen the way we think it happens. So many things happen. People don't look that deep into it, but you had this whole ripple effect of things that happen as a result of. And wow, man, when you think about it, the D.O.C. is in the center of a lot of things that would have actually went different, man.
Yeah, and again, like you said, if you keep going down that line, you could say like maybe Dr. Dre doesn't leave Death Row. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Dr. Dre leaves Death Row and D.O.C. comes with him. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't get.
Let me also say these things. See, this ripple effect, this shows how powerful Death Row and Dr. Dre is. Because if Dr. Dre don't leave Death Row, there's no Aftermath, there's no Eminem.
There's no Eminem. Okay?
You take Eminem out of hip hop, there's potentially no 50 Cent. He stays underground in Queens.
Yeah.
Never pops up. There's no Eminem, there's no 50 Cent, meaning there's no shady Aftermath. Yeah. If that doesn't happen, does Kendrick and all of them, does all that happen the way it happens now? With the whole Black Hippie and Kendrick and Absol, does that happen all the same way? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things to look at when it comes to that ripple down effect, man. Chronic 2001 is different now.
Totally different. Yeah. Wow, like maybe Eminem actually winds up on Terror Squad. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe he does.
for so many times. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, maybe 50 Cent is just mixtapes, and you know, maybe doesn't really pop off because Eminem was the only one that really took a chance on him. He's kind of being blackballed at the time. So, like you said, man, it's so many ripple effects. There's so many ways it could have changed the game. It could have changed like the battle for who's the best in the West Coast. It changes Ice Cube's career, as you know, or it's at least the accolades that he receives as, you know, like he was the man, you know what I'm saying? But are you really the man? Like, you could say Nas is the man, but Biggie was there, you know what I'm saying? Jay-Z was there. So then it becomes debatable. Whereas there was a time where Ice Cube was the man. There was a time where Snoop was the man and Tupac was the man, but D.O.C. was more lyrical than them. You know what I'm saying? And
you know what?
People respected lyrics.
Another discussion we will be having today, in my opinion, because I believe the D.O.C. would have dropped several bangers, is when we talk about the top MCs of all time, the top 10 MCs of all time, top 15 MCs of all time. I do believe you are potentially looking at the D.O.C. as one of the top 10 MCs of all time.
Yeah,
you know? And a lot of people don't understand that. He was on a trajectory to potentially being the #1 West Coast MC of all time and one of the top MCs overall in hip hop of all time, possibly the top 5, possibly the top 10 of all time, people. That's how good he was.
Yeah. So look, so on that note, the D.O.C. really only had a debut album. That's really his measuring stick, because I think it's unfair to measure, you know, him trying to rap through this voice, and it not being the same and not having the same energy and being so disconnected from his debut. What is his legacy in the game? Like, you know, all the things we named, if a person was to find the D.O.C. and some old hip hop head that's still alive, like the last 90s nigga left, comes out really old and he got to tell a story about who the D.O.C. was, like how would you describe him in the hip hop game? Like, what is his legacy?
His legacy is still a West Coast pioneer that helped mold the vision of NWA, of Dr. Dre and Snoop, of Death Row Records. You know, he's like the, you know, when you see a movie, he's like either the director or the executive producer or the main feature writer for the movie, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what he is, you know what I'm saying? So his place is solidified in West Coast hip hop forever, which means he solidified in hip hop forever, which means that even with one album, everything he did in the culture of West Coast between Ruthless Records and Death Row, the D.O.C. is a hip hop legend. And going back to Nelly real quick, when Nelly did that video about the biggest what if in hip hop is the D.O.C., Nelly said, look, for all your young dudes, no disrespect, but do your hip hop knowledge and research on the D.O.C. That's what Nelly said. So then when Nelly had some kind of engagement in Dallas, Texas about a year ago, who did he call? Who did he run now? The D.O.C. So on his Instagram, he's hugged up with the D.O.C. on several pictures and told the D.O.C. he was his favorite MC. And that's what shows you never know who's a hip hop head. And Nelly is actually a hip hop head if you look at some of his videos and watch some of the stuff he writes. Nelly a hip hop head. Nelly told the D.O.C. appreciate him. He's his favorite MC, yada, yada, yada. And he thanked him for coming out and breaking bread with him that night when Nelly was in Dallas, Texas about a year or so ago. That's how big the D.O.C. is when you got a rapper like Nelly who didn't come out to like 2000, 2001 to remember and reach back to an old school hip hop legend like the D.O.C. That's a prime example of why he is who he is, bro.
Yeah, I totally agree with all the points you made, man. I feel like the D.O.C., I mean, he's a legend in the hip hop game because not only because his debut album is a classic and what he brought to the game and the tone he set for West Coast hip hop, but even his work behind the scenes, you know what I'm saying? Being somewhat of a mastermind behind a lot of dope records, behind a lot of the energy from Death Row you know, major artists from the West Coast, you know what I'm saying, and inspiring other artists, and probably had other people trying to be like him, you know what I'm saying, because he was something different, he was something special, you know what I'm saying. So I always look at him as a hip hop legend. I know people frown upon ghostwriting, but ghostwriting has been a part of hip hop since the beginning. We just weren't as owned as we are today. And the D.O.C. man is nasty with the pen game. You know what I'm saying? He's been that way since back in the day. So definitely salute to that brother, man. And definitely go out and listen or buy or whatever the case may be. You know, I mean, you can buy all his albums if you want to support. But definitely check out his debut album, man. The D.O.C. was one of the best rappers to ever, you know, be in the game and grace us with his talents, you know what I'm saying, on a number of levels. But what do you feel about the D.O.C.? What do you feel about some of the things we said? You know what I'm saying? If there's some tidbits maybe that was vital to this conversation, you feel like we left out, please leave them in the comment section below. We definitely check the comments and we definitely respond. But now we like to get into a part of the show where we recommend something you should go back and listen to. And Tone, mine's is like one of the dudes that I listen to all the time. It's kind of like when, as a hip hop fan, I love hip hop, I love boom bap, I love all different versions of hip hop, but I really love like real laid back hip hop. Some people like to call it weed rappers, you know, music. And no, I'm not smoking when I'm listening to it. I just love the mood of the beats. I love the storytelling of this brother. Very underrated storyteller in the game. Devin the Dude, out of the year 2002, Just Trying to Live. Man, this is an album on Rap A Lot Records, by the way, if you didn't know. This is an album that I didn't expect, because I found Devin the Dude when I found his debut album, because on the album cover of his debut album, the dude is sitting on the toilet, and I was just like, yo, what is this? I remember. Because I just couldn't believe that somebody would say, you know what, this is my album cover. You know what I'm saying? No chain, no car in the back, just straight up on the toilet reading. And I was happy that I listened to it, because the dude is completely a comedian. At the same time, he beatboxes, and you could tell he's a hip hop fan. And he just makes really dope music. And Just Trying to Live was him branching out in production. He did a joint with Premier, you know what I'm saying? And it's 16 tracks deep. Some of my favorite songs, Doobie Ass Tray. Most people thought I was going to say that know this album. It's a Shame, R&B, whatever, Just a Man for Show, like Just Trying to Live. It's really an album that's really chill and cool at the same time. And again, this is a man who tells a lot of stories. He's a straight up storyteller for the most part. It's probably his strength. But at the same time, he crafts a vision with it that makes you visualize it. And it doesn't matter if this story is about weed and women and this story is about weed and women. He always finds a very creative way to tell that story. I mean, anytime you got skits of aliens come down from space and they want to smoke weed with you, it's just kind of like, who does that? You know what I'm saying? It just shows that this dude is not concerned with whatever success was happening in 2002. He was making his music. So Tone, just Trying to Live, Devin the Dude, out of 2002. Did you hear that album? What you think about it, and what's your recommendation for this week?
Hey, you know what? To be honest with you, I remember Devin the Dude, man. It's funny because Nas and a couple other New York guys really liked Devin the Dude. They used to talk about him back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So Devin the Dude get a lot of love from a lot of people. I remember his debut, but this particular album, man, I'm glad you gave the recommendation, because just as the listeners are listening right now and receiving this recommendation, I'm getting this from you, and I'm gonna go back and listen to it, man, because I honestly don't remember this album to the point where I can articulate any thoughts on it. So I'm gonna go back to the knowledge on it, because of course, being a hip hop head, I want to learn as much as I can. And sometimes you have albums that you slept on and they kind of went past you somehow. And this was one of them. man. So I'm gonna go back and check that out, man. So my recommendation this week is 1995, The Roots, second album, Do You Want More? Now, a lot of people think that's their first album, but Organics is their first album that came out in 1993. But Do You Want More came out while I was in college. Of course, I remember that Proceed. You know what I'm saying? I remember seeing the video for Proceed. I remember seeing the video for that joint Distortion or Static. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh man, these are dope. The Proceed had that jazzy feel. It felt like Tribe. It felt like, you know, stuff like Stetsasonic. You know what I'm saying? I like this. So I got the album, man, and you know, and the title track, Do You Want More, was kind of like live. It was like a jazz hip hop album anyway. And they had to do a Silent Treatment on there. They did a video for Silent Treatment. You know what I'm saying? It was just, man, it was like a Harlem Renaissance hip hop album, man. And it was just, you know what I'm saying? The beats was dope. They had a couple of joints that sound like live cuts with Questlove on the drums. You know what I'm saying? Black Thought was just killing it. Other MCs in the group was killing it. It's probably my third favorite Roots album behind, of course, Philadelphia Half-Life and Things Fall Apart. I would say Do You Want More is number 3. But it was one of my favorite 1995 albums, man. And I don't have nothing bad to say about it, man. I thought it was track for track, just a very dope album, man. So do you remember that Do You Want More album by the Roots, man?
Yeah, I remember the first song I heard was Silent Treatment because I saw a video. And you know, I didn't really know much about the Roots. I wasn't hip to their first album. I think I remember seeing like advertisements in the Source, but you know, there was plenty of things in the Source that I wasn't really locked into. But I remember when I saw Silent Treatment, I was like, yo, what is this? And then I learned that they were a band. And you know, I love bands. You know, that was one of the reasons why I love Stetsasonic. You know what I'm saying? The hip hop. And now you had another hip hop band, and I feel like I kind of slept on this album because as much as I like that record, it didn't drive me towards the album. It wasn't until Philadelphia Half-Life where they kind of really stepped into the hip hop side of things, and the beats felt more like the music of that time. Whereas this is probably an album that I would enjoy more now because it's really like that vibe. It's almost like Jazzmatazz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's really musical. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the things that the Roots can claim fame to, of being a hip hop band. It's a real mellow rhymes and not as aggressive as some of Black Thought's lyrics after that. So yeah, man, it's one of those albums again I've heard throughout time, but I probably, just like you said, I probably need to go back and like really give it a good listen, with new ears, because I've heard a million Roots albums now, and this album is so different from the rest of those albums. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what kind of makes it special. But if you're watching this, what do you think about the Roots album? You know what I'm saying? Do you want more? What do you think about Devin the Dudes Just Trying to Live? Or if you never heard any of them, definitely go out and support them. Leave your comments in the comment section below. That's going to do it for us for this week. Please know that you can follow this podcast on YouTube on a channel called the B-Roll Network. It's BROLE Network. If you love what you're seeing here, subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. Leave a comment if you feel like you want to join the conversation, but more importantly, share with people enjoy this kind of content. And if sometimes you get to watch YouTube, but you would love to be traveling or commuting to work, listening to it in your earphones or working out or whatever it may be, there is a audio version of this podcast available on a stream called Hip Hop Now Podcast. So wherever you listen to podcasts, it could be Spotify, it could be iHeartRadio, it can be Apple Podcasts. Type in the words Hip Hop Now Podcast, and not only do you get my weekly news podcast, but you also get That Time in Hip Hop and all of the episodes me and Tone have done together. And if all of that is a lot, all you got to do is visit intothedome.com, and there you will see the video version and the audio version where you can make your pick and then spend some time reading some of the dope articles that the homie Tone have written about music and artists, legendary artists in the game, and not just hip hop. So it's a lot of culture there. It's a lot for you to absorb, a lot of media, and absorb great content, man, because we kind of put our passion into these different things we're doing. So you're not really going to be wasting your time. That's all I got to say. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, and let me say this because it's a hip hop podcast. I read and reviewed the new Rakim book, Sweat the Technique, and I did a review on my podcast. So in that same audio stream, you can check out that review. But if you like these kinds of videos that we do, because you enjoy not only the nostalgia, but just learning about the history of the game, definitely check out that review, because that book is highly recommended by myself to any hip hop head or anybody interested in becoming a hip hop head. But until next time, y'all, go out and support real hip hop. Peace.
Peace.
Drop it on the random.